now going to hear from Mike Welch, who's going to speak about one of LeRoy's all-time greats, John Gleason.
There's an ongoing talk in LeRoy about who is the greatest male athlete in history. And over the last 70 years, you can mention many like Pat McGrath, Hoover Scott, the 9-time All-Canadian football player out of Notre Dame. You could mention so many. Donald Palladino, 3 sports, Pete Batavia twice. We go on up into the more recent times when we talk about young Ben Schweinenbrother, who was a personal favorite of mine because he played like Mahomes. It was great entertainment, and it certainly Brandon, as much as anybody has ever been, just phenomenal. But he's unfortunately can't be here because of anesthesiology. But in the first 50 years of LeRoy sports, there was never any discussion. There was only one person. He was on the apex, and it was a man from the 1920 class, John Gleason. He was spoken of with reverence, respect, and admiration. I went to one time to an award in Batavia, and it was given to our own Donald Palladino for being the outstanding RIT point guard. And Matt Jackson, the editor of the Rochester paper, was there. And before he spoke, he got up and said, "What a privilege it is to be in the presence of one of the greatest athletes in the history of the University of Rochester." And so I looked that up in the archives, and I've been working with the archives. And here's the fact about John Gleason. John Gleason not only led the football team as a halfback in rushing, he also led the baseball team in hitting. That's a Bo Jackson type thing, very unusual. At LeRoy High School, he was a 3-sport star. He was the point guard on a championship, league champion basketball team. He was the halfback. He was also an outstanding shortstop, one of the most difficult of all positions, and plus he led the hitting. He is famous for a couple things. One of the main events of his life, which was talked about during my youth so much, was he was on the LeRoy Athletics, the semi-pro team, and they played, believe it or not, the Rochester Red Wings. At that time, they were called the Tribe, the International League team. He hit every game in this time he was up. He hit at least a double. 2 days later, the Rochester Red Wings and the St. Louis Cardinals sent a delegation to his house, which is Mabria's mortuary now. And John was offered to play for the Red Wings. He was probably our greatest baseball player. And he said he just loved being in LeRoy so much. He liked working for his father, and he liked working for his brother, and he just didn't want to leave. He had a mentality that just was embraced in LeRoy. He's sort of like, the closest thing I can give an example of is the Contadoro family. They stay. There's 10 of them, and 9 of them are still here. So Joey would trade them right, in my opinion. So, I want to speak about something that Jim Rogers and Reed Wading have done. They have emphasized to us that this is not only a sports accomplishment committee, but it is also a committee where we put honorable people who are good citizens on, and they stuck with the rule and they led us on that. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about John Gleason in that way. John was our youngest mayor in the history of the village of LeRoy. At 28, he was elected. He was also the postmaster for LeRoy for about 30 years. He was a constant source of information, if anybody asks, for young people to assist in their development. He's one of the great LeRoyans of all time, in my opinion. I knew him as a kid. He was always kind and wonderful to me. So it's been a long while that we've gone on, 10 years. We sort of laid back because he was so far away in 1920. But I can say truthfully, by inducting him today, we have the Babe Ruth of LeRoy sports history in our club. Thank you. Would you like to come up? Martha, his daughters are here. Martha Gleason Mooney and Kathleen Gleason Curry. John had all girls for her. It was often talked about, oh, if he only had some boys. That was the old era. But it's changed, thank God. Kathleen, yeah.
Mike did say that we could say a few words. So I want to thank the committee for honoring our father by inducting him into the Oatka Knights Hall of Fame. He would have been so proud to be a member of such an outstanding group of athletes from his hometown. It was an extra pleasure to have the story of our father's athletic prowess told by Mike Welch. My three sisters and I, and Mike, grew up in LeRoy in the same era. He has been a lifelong friend of the Gleason family, and he knew our father well, as you can tell from his remarks. The words he spoke rang true, because they came not only from research, facts, and memories of his and others, but from his heart. Thank you, Mike. Dad's athletic talent was not carried on by his four daughters. Wait a minute. We were a bit pre-Title IX. But even if that wasn't true, Martha is the only one who would have had a shot at carrying on anything of the athletic traditions. However, because of this Hall of Fame honor, Martha and I can now share the words spoken here today and the article about this event in the Batavia Daily with Dad's grandchildren and great-grandchildren, boys and girls alike, who are very good athletes. We can tell them that LeRoy is not only the hometown of Jello, but also the beloved hometown of the man whose athletic DNA runs through their veins, the grandfather and great-grandfather who is now a member of that town's athletic Hall of Fame, our own little Cooperstown. LeRoy means a great deal to all our family. It was our childhood home. Our mother lived here for 102 years. Our father, John Gleason, the new inductee, referred to LeRoy as God's country. It was the only place he ever wanted to live. Nothing, not even the offer of a professional baseball contract, could entice him to leave. And so it is so meaningful to us that the town he loved so much has returned that respect and affection by naming him a member of the Oatka Knights Hall of Fame. Thank you all very much.